However, where Trump is winning is politically just amazing. And you've got to hear the left is beginning to stink of fear. They see this thing coming, these midterms coming, and they thought this blue wave was a sure and certain thing. And suddenly Vox is writing, well, maybe not, I don't know. You got to listen. This is an amazing column from Knucklehead Road. Let us journey to Knucklehead Road.
Oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, ho. Let's go waltzing down to Knucklehead Road.
Knucklehead Road is the op-ed page of the New York Times, named that because each one of their writers is more of a knucklehead than the last. Frank Bruni, one of their top knuckleheads. You know, if all you knew about gay people or black people was the op-ed page of the New York Times, you would be a homophobic bigot. You know, it's like all the gay people I know are great people. You know, the black guys I know are great people. But if you read the people in the New York Times, you think, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Frank Bruni writes this amazing column. It's called Dear Robert De Niro, Samantha Bee, and Other Trump Haters. He says, I get that you're angry. I'm angry too, but anger isn't a strategy. Sometimes it's a trap. When you find yourself spewing four-letter words, you've fallen into it. You've chosen cheap theatrics over the long game, catharsis over cunning. You think you're raising your fist when you're really raising the white flag. You're right that Donald Trump is a dangerous and deeply offensive man, and that restraining and containing him are urgent business. You're wrong about how to go about doing that. At least you're letting your emotions get the better of you. When you answer name calling with name calling and tantrums with tantrums, you're not resisting him. You're mirroring him. You're not diminishing him. You're demeaning yourselves. Many voters don't hear your side. And he goes on to say, he says, and here's his strategy, right? Enough with idiot and moron. They're schoolyard and splenetic. Enough with Hitler. Has Trump shown fascistic tendencies? Yes. But is he the second coming of the Third Reich? No. Nor are the spineless Republicans who have enabled him Nazi collaborators, not on the evidence of what has and hasn't happened so far. He says, and when you make the direst predictions, you needlessly put your credibility on the line. The stock market didn't go into free fall after Trump's election. We're not at war with North Korea. I'm not ignoring the grave flaws and galling giveaways in his tax overhaul, and I'm not minimizing his disregard for diplomatic norms. I'm noting that when you extrapolate too wildly into the future, you sometimes wind up distracting people from what's happening in the here and now. What I want you to notice about this is he never says your predictions were wrong, so maybe you should stop before you make another prediction. He doesn't say that. He says this is bad strategy. He doesn't say you've revealed your hatefulness and maybe you should check to stop being so hateful. Maybe you should think about what philosophy, leftism, has made you so hateful. He doesn't say that. He says when you're hateful, when you show people that you're hateful, you give the game away. You give the game away. They won't. So I prefer myself Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, socialist guy who honeymooned in the slave state of the Soviet Union while they're taking dissidents off to the gulags. Bernie was singing sweet love songs to his wife in the Soviet Union. Bernie makes a speech in which he just openly tells you what the left is doing.
We are obviously in a pivotal and unprecedented moment in American history. And the fights that we are waging are not just for ourselves. More importantly, they are for our kids, our grandchildren, and the future of this planet. And if anybody in this room, and I know it's not the case here, but anybody in this country who thinks that now is the time to throw your hands up and give up, you are dead wrong. Now is the time more than ever to stand up, fight back. And I want to thank all of the groups here because whether you know it or not, you have helped transform this country in so many ways. A few years ago, just a few years ago, and I want you to think about it, many of the ideas that we talked about were thought to be fringe ideas, radical ideas, extremist ideas. Well, you know what? Because of your efforts, those ideas are now mainstream American ideas.
His purpose, he just said it, we took extreme radical ideas and turned them into mainstream ideas. And in a lot of ways, he's right. Even the fact that we have to argue about whether men are men and women are women, even the fact that we have to argue about socialism is an amazing thing. I mean, socialism has destroyed everything it touches. It's like a miasma. It's like a poison gas that leaves everything dead in its wake. And yet we have to have this argument again because they have managed to disinform our young people about the truth of history and the ideas of the founding. And so, you know, when these guys smell fear, what they smell is exposure. When they are afraid, they're afraid of being exposed. They're afraid that Trump is actually selling us something that we need, which is Americanism. It is an amazing thing that Trump, who is not the most well-briefed person on our founding principles, is yet opening the way for those who do know about our founding principles to bring them back into the mainstream of American thought and do the opposite of what Bernie is talking about. And you can see they're scared. They're scared of him now, and good. Because they're, you know, you want to see why I say that. Take a look at there's this organization we love, Campus Reform, and they go on the campuses and they interview people. So in the wake of this kind of amazing Colorado cake baking case, where two justices actually basically said that a man should be forced to express his celebration of gay marriage when he doesn't believe in that, Campus Reform went out and interviewed some students. Listen to these results. It's a long cut, but it's worth listening to because he then wrong-foots them. So just listen to the whole thing.
The fact that our Supreme Court found that this was an okay thing, I find appalling.
But if his job is to bake a cake for a wedding, even if he doesn't agree with it, he should still have to bake a cake for that wedding.
Do you think that he should be forced to bake a cake for a gay wedding?
I definitely think so. People have a right to eat the cake that they want to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he should have to. He should have to bake the cake because it's his job. Like, he's a baker.
I think that he should definitely make the cake for them.
If there were an African-American baker and someone came in and asked them to make a cake for a KKK rally, should they be forced to do it?
I'm gonna say no.
But they're a baker, it's their job, right?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, like, they shouldn't, but, like, I guess that kind of just, like, contradicts what I just said. But, yeah. I'm not sure on that subject.
What would be the difference?
No, because the KKK is directly hating them as a person. Meanwhile, gay people aren't hating the baker for being a baker.
Mixing it up, how about should a Jewish baker have to make a cake for a Palestinian wedding?
It gets more complicated like that, I guess. But I'm unsure, I would say. Okay. I don't know.
I think you should go
I
first.
mean, once again, we are in America, and if you're going to open a shop, you have to be willing to accept all customers that are going to walk into that shop.
As for his religion, I think that his ability to exercise his freedom of religion ends when that encroaches on another person's ability to be who they are.
Yeah, it's like morally wrong not to bake the cake, but like it's honestly like his say since it is his business.
While I think it's wrong of him to discriminate, I do think it's within his rights to deny service.
So finally, the last two guys get it right. A couple of kids get it right, that they don't like that he's denying them the birthday cake, but he has the right to do it. But what's so interesting is that no teacher has ever challenged them. No one has ever taught them what this guy comes out and does when he wrong-foots them. Well, why does he have to bake for a gay guy if he doesn't have to bake for the KKK? In other words, what you're saying is he has to bake for people whose opinions I agree with, but not for those whose opinions you don't agree with. And once you have that in place, we've lost our freedom of speech. But the fact that no one is, maybe Frank Bruni should be telling people, hey, you know what? Not only don't be hateful, not only don't make stupid predictions, but also change your opinions. Change your opinions, and then maybe you'll be able to sell something to the American public besides your resistance and your hatred.